It's LeGarrette Blunt here, man, 3-time Super Bowl champion. I just want to give you a shout out to the YouTube channel, MicroMike, man.
Eddie Murray, former Detroit Lion. Make sure you watch MicroMike on YouTube.
Calvin Johnson Jr. here, aka Megatron. Big shout out to MicroMike and YouTube channel, man.
Keep on talking everything Detroit Lions, and I just got to remind you, man, happy wife, happy life.
What's going on, YouTube? This is your boy, Mr. MicroMike, and today we're going to talk about Week 1 of the NFL season, the Detroit Lions versus the Chicago Bears. Yes, Week 1 is here. I am ecstatic, and finally, I'm back to the breakdown videos of the games in regards to my Detroit Lions. We're going to do analysis, breakdown, and prediction. It's going to be absolutely fun. Did it last year, had a great time doing it. And I cannot wait to hear all the comments from not just the Lions fans, but also the Chicago Bears fans. With that said, please like the video. You hit that like button. It helps bring my video out via YouTube algorithm. And that is very good because I am going against the legacy mainstream media in which they have the full swing and power behind them. And I am just one single guy bringing my voice out via YouTube. So that would be fantastic. The season is here, folks. The NFL season is here, and it's a whole new season, not just for my Detroit Lions, but for every NFL team out there. Every team is 0-0 and have a chance to go to the big game, and that is awesome. It has been a long off season due to the pandemic, due to all sorts of crazy stuff in 2020, but finally our brains can take a break and listen to what we love, and that is football. NFL season is here. Week 1, my Detroit Lions versus the Chicago Bears, NFC North Showdown. A great game to start the season off by having a rivalry game against the Chicago Bears. What a great way to start the season. Before I get to breaking this thing down, if you're not a subscriber of my channel, please subscribe to my channel. 50% of you are not subscribed. 50%. And it does help out with the YouTube algorithm, and it gets my videos out. That would be fantastic. Please subscribe. I drop videos every single day. Do live shows on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, pre- and post-game show for the Detroit Lions. It's all nothing but fun and love. Doing these breakdown videos, we start with all facets of the game of each team. We'll start with special teams here. Chicago Bears have punter Patrick O'Donnell and kicker Eddie Pinheiro. That is the two-man crew for their special teams. The Detroit Lions have Fox as well as Matt Prater. I'm going to go ahead and say there's no advantage here. I just call that an even keel split. This is going to be more difficult because a lot of these guys are new. They're not proven right now for our teams. We got a whole new punter here. We have not even had a preseason game, folks. So we don't know what's going on here. So I'm going to just go ahead and call this even keel, no point advantage. It is equal. Nothing advantage over the other. Let's go to the defensive line. We will start with the Chicago Bears. Now they have a legit defensive line here with Akeem Hicks, Bilal Nichols, Roy Robertson, John Jenkins, and Brett Urban. What a really good defensive line here. It would have been better, but one of their players decided to opt out for the season. But make no mistake about it, this defensive line is scary. In 2019, their defensive line was definitely top 10, getting after the quarterback, doing what needs to be done, stopping the run. This defensive line is a very much strong for the Chicago Bears. You're going to notice that their defense is their strong point, because they are the black and blue division in regards to that defensive line. They bring the heat. They bring the power. For this year, they give the defensive line of the Chicago Bears nearly a top 5 defensive line, and it really can be. The Detroit Lions defensive line is as follows: Trey Flowers, Romeo Okwara, Deshaun Han, Nick Williams, Danny Shelton, and John Penisini. The Detroit Lions defensive line right now is completely unknown. Last year, it was an abysmal defensive line. It was not good at all, but we did add some new individuals on the line, such as Nick Williams, formerly of the Chicago Bears, John Penisini, who he drafted, and Danny Shelton. So right now, the defensive line is somewhat of an unknown. Not 100% sure what they're going to look like. I do believe they're going to be better than last year, but right here I'm giving a advantage to the Chicago Bears of 1.5. Yes, a 1.5 advantage. That's fairly a big advantage if you ask me, because their defensive line is proven and ours is not. Now let's jump to the linebackers for each teams. We're going to start with the Chicago Bears. Their linebackers are Raekwon Smith, Danny Trevathan, Joel Ogahwemwu, Josh Woods, Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, Barkevious Mingo, Travis Gibson, and James Vaughters. Their linebacking core is absolutely studded. A lot of great players on that linebacking core. Starts with Khalil Mack. The guy's a straight monster getting after the quarterback. Very good linebacker for their team. They have a lot of great players on their defensive line and linebacking core. I just named a lot for you. Again, they could definitely be probably a top 5 linebacker core in the NFL. Top 10 for sure. These guys are a monster. Matthew Stafford has got a lot of work to do to get the ball out to his receivers and tight ends. It's in the middle because these guys can cover as well. The Detroit Lions linebackers is as follows: Jamie Collins, Jared Davis, Christian Jones, Jelani Tavai, Julian Okwara, Reggie Ragland, Jalen Reeves-Maybin, and Elijah Lee. The Detroit Lions had a bad linebacking core last year. I do believe it got better. We added Jamie Collins to really help out, and I think that Jelani Tavai, our second-round pick, is going to have a better year this year because he was a rookie last year, and I think Jalen Reeves-Maybin will do well. Jared Davis, a little bit iffy, but here I'm definitely going to give, the advantage to the Chicago Bears. Their defensive line and their linebacking core is the strength. I'm going to give them a 1-point advantage here. They got quality linebackers. They can cover. They can get after the quarterback. They're very smart. They understand their jobs very well. Our linebacking core is still a little bit of a question mark. We got some new people there, but there's no question mark for these guys for the Chicago Bears. Their linebacking core is studs. 1-point advantage. Now let's jump to the safety positions for each team. We're going to start with the Chicago Bears. Their safeties is as follows: Eddie Jackson, Deion Bush, Sharik McCanis, DeAndre Houston Carson, Deshaun Gibson. They have some decent safeties here. I think this is kind of maybe where they're not the elite spot they were at when in regards to the defensive line and the linebacking core, but they got some very good quality players here. 2 quality starters for their team. Their defense is stacked all the way around. They got some good players. The Detroit Lions safeties is Tracy Walker, Duron Harmon, Will Harris, CJ Moore, Miles Killebrew. The Detroit Lions' strength is now coming here in regards to the secondary. That's the strength of their defense. And I do believe that we got some quality players here to make plays. I think the Detroit Lions have an advantage here. I would give it a 0.5 advantage in regards to the safety position. It may not show that on the field, though, because the lack of talent on the defensive line and linebacking core. But all in all, when it comes to the talent, I think the Detroit Lions have a little bit of talent here in the safety position. 0.5 for the safeties. Let's jump to the cornerbacks of each team. The Chicago Bears got some good cornerbacks. Their defense is stacked. Their cornerbacks are Kyle Fuller, Jalen Johnson, Buster Skrine, Kendall Vilder, and Duke Shelley. They got some quality players there. Kyle Fuller's no joke. He can really get after it. He's good at getting turnovers. He's good at coverage. He can knock the ball away. Very good combination of cornerbacks for the Chicago Bears defensive. The Detroit Lions have a lot of new players on this team, and some of them here in regards to the cornerback position. They are as follows: Jeff Okudah, Desmond Trufant, Justin Coleman, Amani Owarie, Tony McRae, Dale Roberts, and Mike Ford. You're going to notice here the number 3 pick was Jeff Okudah. I don't believe he's going to be starting for this team. I think you're going to see a lot of Desmond Trufant, Amani Owarie, and Justin Coleman. Very good corners for my Detroit Lions. I'm going to give this a 0.5 advantage again here. Our secondary is stacked if you look at player by player. It may not show it on the field because of the defensive line, but these guys are very solid for the Detroit Lions. 0.5 advantage for the cornerbacks. In regards to the defense, this is the strength of the team, the secondary. Overall, when it comes to the defense, the Chicago Bears have an advantage for sure. Their team is stacked on the defensive line. That is their team, the defense. They are a very good defense, and how they win this year, it's going to start with the defense and followed by, hopefully for them, for their fan base, decent offensive play. If their offense can stay relatively calm and not turn the ball over, and their defense be the main part of their team, they can win football games this year. Now we're going to jump to the offense here. Now this is the tale of two teams in regards to the offense. The Detroit Lions offense is a strength, and I think the Chicago Bears offense is their weakness. But we'll start with the offensive line, the big guys in the middle protecting the quarterbacks. The Chicago Bears have Charles Leno, James Daniels, Cody Whitehair, Germain Ifedi, Bobby Massey, Jason Spriggs, Alex Bars, Rashad Coward, Arlington Hambright. They got some okay players on the offensive line. They're not the greatest offensive line in the NFL. I'd give them a mid-round look upon that offensive line, but not too bad. Thankfully, their quarterback is a mobile quarterback, and that helps them out. But in regards to the offensive line, they have a decent one. Mid-round, nothing bad, nothing great, in the middle there for that team. The Detroit Lions offensive line is as follows: Taylor Decker, Joe Dahl, Frank Ragnow, Jonah Jackson, Halapuliti Vati Vaitai, Terrell Crosby, Matt Nelson, Logan Stenberg, and Abushi just got re-signed. The Detroit Lions offensive line is fairly decent here. It's kind of a mid-round offensive line, near top 10 status. I'd say 11, 12-ish. It can hit the top 10. It can get to the top 10 this year. We got a whole new right tackle here. Last year we had Rick Wagner. Now we got Halapuli Vaitai. And we drafted some offensive guards to help the team out. The strength of the offensive line is pass protection. The weakness, until proven, is run. I'm going to give a 0.5 advantage to the Detroit Lions here in the offensive line. Just a little bit better, but I think it's a little bit better in regards to the tackles and pass protection. 0.5 advantage for the Detroit Lions. Let's jump to the tight ends for each team. Now, they have some new names on their side for the Chicago Bears, and it starts with Jimmy Graham, Cole Kmet, Demarius Harris, J.P. Holtz, and Eric Subart. They have some decent tight ends here. The issue is can the quarterback get it to him? Jimmy Graham, obviously, he's a big name, but he's at the end of his career. Cole Kmet's actually not too bad of a tight end. I think that's probably the guy that they'll go to a little bit more this year. I think they got a decent tight end combination. Again, a mid-round pick, nothing fantastic, but again, it's all dependent on the quarterback giving them the ball. The Detroit Lions tight ends are TJ Hawkinson, Jesse James, and Hunter Bryant. This is a big-time advantage, I think, for the Detroit Lions. This gives them a 1-point advantage, in my opinion. TJ Hawkinson is a very good player that we drafted last year with the 8th pick in the draft. He has really shown a lot in training camp. Jesse James is the individual that needs to prove it a little bit more. Hunter Bryant is a rookie, but I think the Detroit Lions have an advantage here because our quarterback will throw TJ Hawkinson the ball. He will give the ball out to the tight ends. A lot of weapons on offense. The wide receiver core for each team. The Chicago Bears starts with Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller, Ted Ginn Jr., Riley Ridley, Darnell Mooney, and Javon Wims. They have some okay wide receivers here. Allen Robinson's not too bad. Ted Ginn Jr., nothing fantastic, though. This is not the strength of the team. That's defense. When it comes to the offensive weapons, can the quarterback give them the ball? That is the continued idea in regards to the Chicago Bears is weapons. Can the quarterback, can Mitch Trubisky, the starter of their team now, be the guy to give them the ball? Offense was a weakness. I think this is going to be bad for the Chicago Bears in regards to their season. Is their offensive weapons, is their quarterback. The Detroit Lions, on the other hand, have wide receivers Marvin Jones Jr., Kenny Galladay, Danny Amendola, Marvin Hall, Quintez Cephas, and Jamal Agnew. This is the absolute strength of the Detroit Lions team here. This is a 2-point advantage. The wide receivers of the Lions is one of the best depths in the NFL. They have very good players. When you look at Kenny Galladay and you look at Marvin Jones Jr., Danny Amendola, the roster is stacked with wide receivers. This is going to what leads the Lions, if they do win this year, is going to be the wide receiver group. The Detroit Lions have a 2-point advantage. Time to jump to the running backs positions for each team. We'll start with the Chicago Bears. They have Tariq Cohen, David Montgomery, Ryan Nall, Cordell Patterson. Not a bad combination of running backs, actually. I'm not sure the status of Montgomery. I know he got injured in camp. Not 100% sure. I'm sure it'll come out after this video comes out, but he's actually a fairly good running back. We all know Tariq Cohen. He's a good little scat back for them, a good change of pace back. They got some decent running backs for that team. If they do anything on offense, I think it will be in the running game. That will really help them out. Not too bad for them. The Detroit Lions running backs is as follows: DeAndre Swift, Kerryon Johnson, Ty Johnson, and Adrian Peterson, who we just signed to the roster. The Detroit Lions running back is stacked. We do have running backs on this roster that can make noise. This is something that we have not had in a very, very long time. The question is, can we run the football? Will Darrell Bevell commit to running the football? How is Adrian Peterson going to look? 100% of unknowns. I'm going to go ahead and give this a 0.5 advantage to the Chicago Bears because of the unknowns, because of the offensive line, and because will they stick to the running game? I want to see it before I say it, so 0.5 advantage to the Chicago Bears. They, right now, in my opinion, have something that's more shown and proven for the running game. Now to the quarterbacks. We're going to start with the Chicago Bears, and that is Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky is not very good of a quarterback, in my opinion. Not trying to dog Chicago Bears fans. I just don't think he is that good. I think he was ranked 33 out of 32 last year. But he's always seems to do well against the Detroit Lions. He is mobile. His ability to get out of the pocket and get some yards on the ground is there. So if they're going to win in regards to the quarterback position, it's going to have to be the fact that they beat the Detroit Lions for whatever reason Mitchell Trubisky does against this team and on the ground. The Detroit Lions have a very good quarterback in Matthew Stafford. The question mark for him is injuries throughout the season, but not for this game. He's 100% healthy. Matthew Stafford was looking like a top candidate for MVP last year. He was the top 5 before he got injured. He was getting the ball out, 19 touchdowns before he went down. He's a very good quarterback, and I think he's going to show it specifically with these offensive weapons in regards to the wide receivers and tight ends. So I would give a bigger advantage, but a 1.5 advantage to the Detroit Lions for the quarterbacks, because Mitch Trubisky does, for whatever reason, seem to have better games against the Detroit Lions, and our defense is not as strong. So you got to look at that facet, and the Chicago Bears defense is strong. So only a 1.5 advantage here. Now we're going to go into the advantages and disadvantages of the home field. I'm going to give this, generally I give this a full 1 point advantage across the board, but this, due to the pandemic, there's no fans in the stands. I have no idea what it's going to be like in regards to the crowd noise, if they're going to actually do fake crowd noise, how loud it will be. So I'm only going to give this a 0.5 advantage simply due to traveling. There is no fans at Ford Field for the Chicago Bears. I'm sure they're going to be able to get out their plays. It's not going to be the same at all. I don't care what crowd noise they have. When you don't have fans in there, you don't have the momentum of the fans going nuts, the advantage goes down. So only a 0.5 advantage for the Detroit Lions on home field advantage. For predictions and score, I believe that the Detroit Lions will pull out a victory here, but not a big victory. It's going to be 27-24 Detroit Lions, simply because it is opening game at home, and the offense, I think, will get it done. The Chicago Bears are not a walkover team. They do have a very strong defense and can run the football. The Detroit Lions cannot, I repeat, not think that this is an easy game, because we got swept by the Bears last year. The only reason I say the Lions can pull out the victory here is Matthew Stafford is healthy. We do have a better defensive line, and we have a much better running game. Still got to prove it. But, folks, tell me what you think the prediction's going to be, what the score is going to be. Comment. Let me know. If you're Bears fans, tell me if you're going to win, what the score is. If you're Lions fans, tell me what the score is. Even if you're opposite, do you think that your team's going to lose? Do you think it's going to win? No hate for the Chicago Bears. Hopefully, the reality of this game is no serious injuries from both sides. We can escape with no injuries, because you don't want that in week 1. With that said, folks, adios.